Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of DEI in 5. Today I want to talk about why hiring and school admissions based solely on merit with no consideration to diversity, equity, inclusion is harmful. While many may argue that merit-based hiring and admissions is the fairest way to select candidates or school applicants, it's just not that simple. And for today's discussion, I'm going to be leveraging the 4 I's of oppression to try to kind of connect the dots and help us further understand why basing things solely on merit is not a good idea. The 4 I's of oppression, if you're not familiar, are ideological, institutional, interpersonal, and internal. I won't get into exactly all the ins and outs of that for the sake of time today, but please go check out other resources, videos to help you further understand oppression or the 4 I's of oppression. I'll also add some links below to help you out. But let's get into it. Starting with the first I of oppression, ideological, right? Our society has long held this belief that if you work hard and if you gain the skills, you possess the skills or the qualities, that you will naturally sort of rise to the top and you can be successful because that's subjective, right? But this belief ignores the fact that systemic barriers such as discrimination and unequal access to opportunities actually prevent individuals and even entire groups and communities from accessing, certain educational opportunities, certain employment opportunities. And we as a society also continue to perpetuate this idea, and this is part of internalized oppression as well. We're all collectively often contributing to this idea that certain races, genders, or other aspects of identity make someone as an individual inherently more qualified than someone else. And this is perpetuating those existing sort of inequities in both education and employment. Moving on, second I. The second I of oppression, like I said, is institutional, right? So by relying solely on merit-based hiring and admissions, we are reinforcing these existing institutional biases as well, right? That are built into our education and employment systems and processes. A really good example of this are the educational funding disparities that we see in the States. More often than not, schools that are in low income or neighborhoods with a lot of marginalized individuals and communities receive less funding for resources. So there's less funding for books, less funding for technology, less funding to pay support staff and teachers, which in turn is stifling the education of children who, oh my gosh, become adults. And then they are out here looking for jobs or seeking further education, but they lack quote unquote merit. And it's no fault of their own. They were born into those circumstances in many cases, right? So again, something to consider. The third I of oppression is interpersonal, right? By giving individuals the opportunity to perpetuate their own biases and prejudices, whether unconscious or conscious, we're ensuring that we don't have a fair and inclusive practice when it comes to hiring and school admissions. And with some of the recently proposed and even enacted acts and bills, such as Florida's Stop Woke Act and House Bill 999, that aim to ban DEI, the opportunity to further educate people on, the snap judgments and assumptions that we all make about other people that may influence our hiring and admission decisions, that's starting to slowly just fade away, and it's not going to be an option, which is not cool. That's not going to help any of us. And then when it comes to the fourth I, the internalized bit, by sending a message to underrepresented or marginalized groups that they are not valued or wanted in certain fields or institutions, we are actively contributing to internal oppression and making people think that they don't belong, or that they aren't deserving, and that, not that it's not a belief. And they start to realize that there are, in fact, barriers to them furthering their education or furthering their careers. And it's really unfortunate. So that's all I got for today. Finally got a video that's under 5 minutes this week. I know I've been on one, but there's just been so much that it's just like, but I've had a lot of comments around like, well, we should focus on merit. And of course, as we saw this week and last week in Texas, they've been wanting to focus on merit. And there's been a push by the governor to remove any sort of DEI considerations from admissions. So Whew, there's a lot to process. I hope you enjoyed this content. Let me know what you think. Add a comment below to get involved in the discussion. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe. And I will see y'all back here for another episode of DEI in 5 next Monday. All right, y'all. Until later.